Good evening.
Stop recording video. Button.
Oh, be quiet. I didn't tell you to say anything, but oh well. It's April 24th, 2012. It's about almost 11 o'clock at night or something like that. I just wanted to ask a simple yet hard to answer question, at least for me it is. Um, and the question is this: how does a cell phone, which is locked or programmed to a specific carrier, we'll take my phone for example. It is a Sprint iPhone 4S. It is a phone that is set up in such a way where it is permanently locked to Sprint as its carrier. You cannot change carriers on this phone without unlocking it. I don't know if Sprint will do that or not, but anyway, so this phone is strictly a Sprint phone and will only go to other networks if you are roaming. And that's actually another question I have later, but my question is, how does the phone know that Sprint is the only carrier that it is allowed to connect to? Even when you restore it, that is, when you put it back to factory defaults, and let's say you upgrade the firmware, or you just reset the firmware to factory defaults, so you have nothing on your phone. It's just as if you took it out of the box. How does this phone therefore know? I mean, what tells it that it is only allowed to connect to Sprint and cannot be used on any other network unless roaming? I have seen an unlocked iPhone 4S in action. This one was a one that my friend in Canada has. Now, granted, it's he's on a GSM carrier up there, but his phone's unlocked. So I mean, he has in his settings. I forget if it's under settings or if it's under settings general, but he has an option that says carrier, and he can take that phone when he gets it out of the box. He can actually look and see what carriers are in range of him and pick the one that he wishes to use, and give them whatever info they need, and they can activate the phone on their network. But on a phone like this, which is the kind of phone that most consumers have, one like mine that is locked to a given carrier, how does the phone know what carrier it is supposed to use? How does it know that? And also, how does it know when to roam? Now, I assume that one is easier to answer. I assume, because my experience is you have to have zero service from your main carrier before the phone will roam. It would be nice if you could force it to roam. There's been times when, say, I've been in a weak area and or a marginal area for the main carrier, but say my friend's Verizon phone's got full signal through the same area. It'd be nice to force roam at times, and yet I don't think I don't think any phone will do that. I think you have to, as far as if you want to roam, you pretty much have to have no cell service whatsoever from the main provider for that phone. In other words, my phone's locked to Sprint. I have to have zero Sprint service before it will roam to another carrier. But yeah, my main question is, how does the phone, I mean, is there a piece of software that runs? I know when I'm looking at the about screen of the phone, it'll say like Sprint version whatever. It's like, okay, I mean, this specific phone, I mean, could it be unlocked? I mean, is this phone always going to be a Sprint phone? Or let's say one day I wanted to go to Verizon and I'd had the phone for, say, a couple years and my contract was up and I said, I want to go to Verizon. Would I have to switch phones? I mean, couldn't I put this phone on Verizon? I mean, would that be possible? Technically, I wouldn't see why not, but maybe others have thoughts on that. I'm curious about that. Most consumers, due to the subsidized price and whatnot, they're going to have a locked phone like this. It's going to be locked to the carrier that they got the phone with. But I mean, aren't these phones? I would think they could be used on whatever carrier you wanted. You know what I'm saying? Like, if I wanted to use this phone on Verizon, it is an iPhone, so I suppose all I'd have to do is have Sprint unlock this phone. But how do they do that? What is the magic behind locking a phone to a carrier? Is it a program that, some kind of software that runs? Is it a code that locks it? I mean, there's certainly no user setting that can get to it, but I wonder if anybody knows that. Just sort of the geek in me wondering about how all this stuff is able to work. Because, I mean, technically, I should have a carrier dialog in the settings, and I should be able to see Verizon and Sprint and all the other carriers around me. Well, of course, I guess if I had paid like $6.99 or whatever for the, I guess it would be $7.99 for the 16 gig. No, I guess it is $6.99 for the phone that I have. Then I would see all the carriers and stuff. But how do they lock it? I mean, how is it that they're able to lock the phone to a carrier? And then the whole roaming thing. I would love to be able to force roam. It'd be interesting to switch carriers just for a minute, even with signal on Sprint, just to compare signals and see if one would be better than the other. So, anyway, thoughts on that? Definitely welcome. Hope everybody has a good evening. And for now, on this cool but rainy, well, not rainy yet, but it will be rainy, April 24th, 2012, have a good evening.